Hi, my name is Glency, and I'm from Las Vegas, and this is Etsy Shop Audits. So, like, I sit down, I'm like, okay, maybe I should do social media. So I'll do social media, and then I'm like, well, wait a minute, should I be listing? Okay, let me do listing. Then I'll be doing listing, and then I'm like, well, maybe I should add more. So I just kind of feel like I'm all over the place. I think I need like a basic ground of how do I get this business to grow a lot faster.
All right, Glincy, thank you so much for coming, by the way. And I'm just going to run through your intake and then we're going to dive in. So Frank and Beans, love the name. 8 years old is the shop, very seasoned account. The niche is animal owners, mostly women who love to dress their dogs up. I love how specific you were there too. That's awesome. Sticking point, sales, join the club. And total revenue, 4,332 sales. And you said $450 since January 1st. I didn't have the revenue number, so I just put in the sales numbers from your site. What is the total sales? Do you have that number? And if you don't have it right now, that's okay.
Total sales since January?
No, I would say like total sales for the shop, because 4,332 sales is what you've had, right?
Yeah. Oh, I don't have that like.
And that, no, that's not a problem. It's good enough to say you've had over 4,000 sales.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fine. Your income goal, $200,000 in 2 years. So I just said 100K a year. And so that's kind of like the target. Is that accurate?
That's pretty accurate.
Okay, cool. All right. So now let's do this. Why don't you catch us up and let us know, you've been at this for quite a while. Let us know, like, I guess, what is your biggest sticking point right now?
I feel like I do a lot of like busy work. And I don't really have like a set, like specific goal of what I should be doing every day. So like I sit down, I'm like, okay, maybe I should do social media. So I'll do social media, and then I'm like, well, wait a minute, should I be listing? Okay, let me do listing. Then I'll be doing listing, and then I'm like, well, maybe I should add more. So I just kind of feel like I'm all over the place, and I just think I need like a basic ground of how do I get this business to grow a lot faster, and just have a basic understanding of what's the most important thing that I need to be doing on a daily basis. So I think that's where I struggle with. And I also do like a little bit of, looking at other people's shops, okay, what's the pricing, what they're doing? Should I be lowering it? Should I be changing my, my titles? So that's pretty much the one thing that I struggle with is what should I be doing on a daily basis, rather than just being all over the place.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's perfect. And join the club, by the way. I mean, I think that's the entrepreneurial, we have so many different things that we can do, but what do we focus on? And I think it does come down to really zooming out. And I think that's what these audits are good for, is to kind of help you zoom out and then kind of look and see what is going on in the business, and then what are the best growth levers that could be pulled. And that's where we're going to then start to investigate and see what can we do to help, with these growth levers, and not just do busy work. Like you said, we want to be busy, but we want to be busy doing or working on the right things.
Right.
So I guess the question, I'll start here. You've been at this for 8 years, which is quite a long time. Would you say that it has just stayed steady? Have you seen a decline? Like, what do you see being in there for 8 years?
So I've kind of been at this a lot longer. I started actually this whole business in 2003, 2002.
Okay.
And there was no Shopify. There was no Etsy. There was nothing. Probably that's kind of when eBay started, but I started this from scratch, where I hired, a website guy. And during that time, a website was like $2,000-$3,000. So I built a site, and, it was hard to like get traffic because, I didn't know anything about like marketing. So from there, I was just off and on. It started out with dog clothes. That was when Paris Hilton, she was like dressing up her dogs. And when I had my two Chihuahuas, Frankie and Beansy, I had a difficult time getting them to pee outside. So that's when I started the dog clothes stuff. And it kind of transformed from dog clothes to, to jewelry. So to make a long story short, I had a full-time job. So I was kind of like not putting my all into the business. It was just kind of like a hobby, but then it just turned into, okay, I really want to do this, full time. So right when COVID happened, I'm just like, this is something that I want to do. And why not? I don't have kids to put through college. I just have two Chihuahuas. So why not, just quit my job and do this full time? So I did that in 2021. And
Okay.
so now I've, since then I've been on this full time. So I want to say that's when I started really diving into this seriously. But throughout the whole years, I was off and on, just doing it on the side. So that's pretty much where I've been.
Okay.
So
yeah. So I mean, so now you're
open.
saying like, yeah, I was gonna say since 2021, you've been kind of like focusing on this full time.
Yeah, and I've just always had Etsy shop, and then it started into crocheting the dog clothes. So yeah, so this has just been something that, okay, now I want to like buckle down and really be serious with it.
Got it. Chris, did you have something?
No, I was going to say that, so the shop's been around, the business has been around about 10, 11 years at this point. The Etsy shop specifically has been around for 8, but we've really been focusing on this as something that's not just hey, I have a couple minutes, let me go make a necklace or whatever, since 2020.
Yeah.
So 2.5, 3 years that we're trying to make this a full-time thing. And in that time, so Scott, we looked at those numbers, and I want to pull those back up here really fast. So we said 200,000 is the goal. We have 4,300 sales. What is that, over 8 years, that's like 500 and change a year. Has that ramped up since you've dedicated more time to this? Or is that kind of where you're stuck right now, where it's like, no matter what I do, I'm getting 550 or whatever it is sales a year?
It's definitely been a lot harder since COVID. It's been a lot harder, and especially last year. Last Christmas was probably the worst Christmas I've had. And there's not anything different. Well, I mean, I put more time into the business, that's for sure. But I just kind of feel like Etsy has definitely changed. Like it's a lot harder. It's not like, what you guys say, like you could throw stuff on there and, business will come. I mean, it was definitely easier, a couple years ago. But yeah, it's a lot harder now. So my numbers have gone down a little bit.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. And I think a lot of people have experienced that. We're going to get into like the meat of it though. Like, okay. So like, we kind of got a recap of like what's going on, what's some of your struggles. Obviously sales is like number one, but that's such a broad thing, right? It's like, we need to focus on like, Chris, can we pull up the shop and just kind of look through it? We'll kind of get an idea. But my one thing is, while Chris is doing that, is I always ask people this is, are you focusing on products that have good, solid demand? Hey, real quick, I wanted to give you a little behind the scenes on how these Etsy shop audits even happen. Every single month, Chris Schaefer and I, we meet and we batch record 3 to 4 of these episodes. Then they get edited and they get posted like the one you're watching right now. But what we decided to do is create what we call our Backstage Pass Club. This is where all of our club members, they get to join us on that recording as we're doing it live. The other cool thing is you're able to ask questions, and you also can get access to the recordings before they ever air, immediately, raw and unedited. You even get all the questions that were asked that you might have missed because, well, maybe you couldn't attend that one live. So if you'd like to be part of our Backstage Pass Club and join our next batch recording session, head on over to brandcreators.com/club or click the link in the description. Now, let's get back to the audit. Like, would you say like you're doing product research with the idea of finding products that people are buying on a regular basis and not just like, oh, I think that people would like this?
To be honest, I've been doing stuff like, oh, that's cute. Let me let me put that up there. Just recently, since I've been listening to you guys, I've been doing a little bit more research on that. So like for me, I like a lot of like Hello Kitty type trinkets, but that's not necessarily what people want. And so so I honestly have just been doing what I like and just kind of throwing it up there too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, okay. The one positive thing is I would say, and again, I think it's all good. I mean, you've got a great little store here. It looks like you got really good products. These are not print on demand stuff. Even it's your stuff. And I think that is what separates you. And there's a lot of people selling pet stuff, and I think there's potential for everyone. I don't think that you can't other people can't sell pet stuff. It's just you're selling a very unique style. It looks like again, like even listening, like I love that you were like tapping into like Paris Hilton because she was dressing up the dog, and you're like, oh, let's do something that's kind of like a spin-off or whatever.
Yeah.
But I do think a lot of people fall under that same little trap of like, okay, this looks cool, I'm going to put it up. Now, with that being said, you can keep doing that, but you have to have products that are proven to be selling right now. So think about your product as a traffic generator, right? If you take a product that you're looking at and you're going like, wow, this is getting, and again, you'd have to look and see what your numbers are. If you want to hit 100K a year, you're probably not going to profit that right away on Etsy. That's where you're going to have to take your stuff and bring it outside of Etsy. And we're talking Shopify. We're talking like you're full time now. Like if you're full time, you have to be thinking to yourself, I'm not just putting it all on Etsy. I'm going to start taking my products and selling them externally, because now you've got more reach. And that's what a real e-commerce business is doing. It's not just an Etsy business. So you have all of the products to do it. It's just a matter of putting that stuff out there. But I'm not saying you have to do that as of yet. We actually did a live stream yesterday, and it was all on phase 1, phase 2. You're in phase 1, unless you have it. Do you have a Shopify or anything externally?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that shop I kind of struggle with too, because it's really difficult to do like Shopify account, Etsy, and also I'm doing eBay. So that's that's a lot of work in itself.
Yeah. It is a lot of work. Here's what's going to, I believe, save you from having to feel like you're doing a lot of work, but you're not getting a lot of results for the work. You have to start focusing on products that have proven demand. And the thing is, like, you can find 5 or 10 of those products, and that's all that you might need, because those have such high volume of sales. And I say high volume. For you, you might be like, I need to make 20 sales a day. Well, you're going to probably find products that make 5 sales a day. But if you can find 5 of those products, now you're at 25 sales a day. But if you're just going like, oh, I think this bracelet is really cute, I think it would look cute on dogs, I think dog owners would like it, and then you put it up there, and then it's crickets, the market is kind of telling you, but in a sense, maybe not, because it's maybe not what people are searching for. But if someone came to your shop, so imagine you have people that are coming in because you're known for custom dog clothes, right? But they come in and they see jewelry that you're making, and they're like, oh, of course I want that too. That's beautiful, right? Yeah. But they didn't know it. But if people are searching for a costume for their dog, which Halloween, I would think you guys, you would crush it. Because I'm sure people would buy like costumes for their dog, custom or personalized, where it has their name on the back or something.
Mhm.
So yeah, so Chris is pulling up, Everbee. Like that's what I would probably be doing on the Etsy side, because if you're going to put all the time and energy in, why not put more time into the research and then development? And then when you're pushing out the products, you at least know that the sales volume is there. You just have to work at it to get it.
Right. Yeah.
Make sense?
Makes sense. Definitely.
So okay. And so like dog collar might get a lot of searches, but maybe not a dog collar necklace. I don't know. I'm guessing, right?
Mhm.
We know dog collars sell very well. And actually, I think it's Vlad from Tag Pup, I think it is, or Pup Tag, whatever it's called. But he built his whole business on collars, and that's it. So we know that that's the case, but it's a dog collar. It's not necessarily a dog necklace, right? Now,
Right.
could you create a collar that's got more bling? Probably. You know what I mean? Maybe that's your angle because you have the capability of doing that,
Mhm.
And again, I'm just spitballing here. We're just kind of like thinking through it. And this is how I would be thinking of like, how do we get products that are being searched for on a regular basis?
Mhm.
Maybe it's also pet memorial. Now you're going to go down that road and create personalized pet memorial things, right? Where an owner can wear the bracelet that reminds them of the pet. Again, I don't know the data. I haven't done the research, but I would think that there's probably good volume there. Chris,
Right.
what do you?
And if we're thinking about the numbers, Scott, and somebody can correct my terrible business math, but if we're looking at an average of about $25, we'd be looking at like 20, 21, let's call it 22 sales a day to be able to get to that $100,000 a year. Right. So obviously we're going to have some times where we have 40, 50 sales a day, sometimes where we have 10, 15, but we have to average that out to that like between 20 and 25 if we're looking at that 25-ish dollar price point. Now I know, there's stuff at 18, there's stuff at 26, there's stuff on sale, but if that's the number that we're looking at, that should be the thing that we are focused on. How can I get to 20 to 25 sales a day in this shop? And Glincy, you said something that if anybody has watched one of these shop audits in the past knows is my trigger word. You said social media, right? 99.9% of the time, I will tell you, your time should not be spent on social media because it's not an evergreen activity, right? With the exception of something like Pinterest, where there is some evergreen benefit to it. For the most part, social media, until you get to a place where you're like, the only way I can grow is drive more traffic, probably not the solution to this. Where we need to be focused is on creating as many products as we can that serve the dog niche, however you want to pronounce it, and getting to that $20 to $25 or 20 to 25 sales a day mark. And I know you right now are focused around just dog jewelry. Is that something like, is that the thing you really want to focus on? Or are you more of like a dog fashion brand? And are you open to adding in some things that are not necessarily jewelry to be able to get to that 20 to 25 sales per day mark?
So since I've been following you guys, I've been doing a lot more than what I've been usually doing, and I've noticed. Well, I got on Everbee, and I noticed that dog jewelry, like necklaces for dog lovers, and they would have their dogs like engraved on their necklace. I was thinking more to expand more on that as well.
Yeah.
I know I can see that it's a little narrow with what I'm doing because it's for dog lovers that want to have necklaces. Not everybody does that. What about the dog? Boy dogs. So I know that it's a little bit narrower. So I'm definitely open to expanding. What about the bigger dogs? What about boy dogs? The only thing I kind of want to stay away from is dog clothes. I've done that before, and I get a lot of returns because you can't try it on, and
Yeah.
so definitely jewelry. I'm really open to doing that as well.
I think really honestly, like I think you could own jewelry. Like I think you could You could literally like right now, a big thing is like matching, even for just kids, like kids and parents, right? It's like, or it's on the sleeve, or you know what I mean? Like whatever. Yeah, Chris, you're highlighting that over there, like dog jewelry for women. And then it's got like the charm on it. Like there's things that you could do there. Now, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but immediately I'm thinking to myself, and this is where, like, if you had 5 products, just 5 products that were that style, right? Where it was like bling maybe for the dog or whatever, fashion, like Chris said, but then also it's customizable. If you, well, let me back up. Do you have an email list? Have you built an email list at all?
No, but I know you guys talk about that a lot, and
Yeah, you know that's coming then.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you're
You can see her wince when you said email. She's like, "Ooh, yeah. The answer to this should be yes." But
yeah.
So just think about this with me for a second. This is where my mind goes immediately. I'm like, okay, you've got a really cool style of jewelry for pet owners, not even just dogs, but just pet owners. I mean, you could expand this out, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, what if this is something that we teach as well, is what if you were to take a matching, one for the dog and one for the owner, and you ran a Facebook ad for $5 a day, and you targeted pet owners or let's say dog owners, and you're going to give one of them away. And now you're going to do a giveaway for a product that, guess what, you sell, and you sell other things like this. And now people are going to enter to win this, all dog lovers, by the way. And now you've built an email list, and through that process, you're then also letting people know that you make jewelry for dogs, and I have an Etsy shop, by the way. And then you're just going to be communicating that through that process. So you're building a list of people that, yes, they haven't purchased yet, but they are dog people. And then from there, you're getting them to raise their hand by putting their name and email address in, building an email list that you own, not Etsy. And now you can then do a push and say, after the giveaway, maybe 2 weeks on the giveaway, you're like, hey, so-and-so won, congratulations. But we had a lot of people that entered and they didn't win, but we want to make you a winner. Here's 25% off for the next 3 days. Right. Boom. Then we drive people to Etsy. And right now I would drive them to Etsy, not Shopify. And the reason why is because I want to spike Etsy so we can kind of get that thing, rocking.
Right.
So that's where my head goes. Social media? No, I'm not doing that. That's a waste of my time right now. My time is better spent putting $5 a day on a Facebook ad to build an email list that I can message every single week. And I shared this story the other day. I have a good friend of mine. She was actually a business partner of mine. We sold an e-commerce business together. She built an Etsy shop. Then she built a Shopify store. And she ran an email campaign to 5,000 email subscribers that some were customers, some were just people that wanted to enter a giveaway or download something for free. And she sent 2 emails and did over 400 sales.
Wow.
And about $9,000 from 2 emails. People are not utilizing email as much as they should be. And you said you do not even have an email list. That's where I'd be spending my time. That and finding those products that are going to supply its own demand from search and when I start to advertise on Etsy.
Right.
So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm seeing it. Like, that's where I'd be focusing my time is like, that dog lovers always want to, number one, have something that represents, and again, maybe female dogs. Maybe that's even what you're going after, right? That's something pretty, right? And then the owner has a bracelet that matches, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then the other side of that is pet memorial. People want a bracelet for one that passed.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a couple things that are sticking out to me here. The first is, Scott, I really like the angle of the matching thing. I also like going, Glincy, potentially the Pandora angle, where it's like, here's the base. And then here's the Halloween charm or the memorial charm or whatever, like because then you can sell them pairs that are accessories to the existing thing. That's a great way once you get a customer in to increase that cart value, increase that customer lifetime value, because then when they come back, or let's say you have that email list now, right? They're coming back and you're then able to say, hey, did you see our new set of Halloween charms for your bracelet, for your necklace, whatever it is. The other thing, and I just typed in dog jewelry, right? Because that's your main keyword. And you've probably heard us talk in the past about search intent. So just looking at the keyword and saying, and I think it was 2,200 and change, there's 2,200 searches according to the search traffic estimate, right? That's cool. That's awesome. But what do people mean when they are typing that in? The way that we figure that out is by looking at what shows up, not in the ads section, but in the actual results of the page, right? And when we start to scroll down, it's not necessarily jewelry for dogs. It's jewelry about dogs.
Yeah.
Right now, yes, you do show up here, right? But if we're looking at number 1 and number 2 on the organic side here, this is a pet necklace, right? For a person. This is pet jewelry for a person, pet jewelry for a person, you again, for a person. So there is a good mix when we look at this search result of people who are looking for jewelry that represents their pet and jewelry for their pet. Does that make sense? And so if we can combine those, which is exactly where Scott was going, I think, with the, make the matching pair or whatever, then it becomes more powerful because no matter which group they fall into when they're typing that search in, we have something to offer them. And if they come in, maybe they don't want the matching pair. Maybe they just want their customized necklace with their dog's name on it, or they want their, their thing with their 3 or 2 dogs and a cat, I guess this one is. With their animals on it, then they can get that. And then if they want the matching thing down the road, they can do that. I think we need to pay a little bit of attention to the owners here too, because at the end of the day, the dog is not the customer. The owner is the customer. And if we can hook them with something they like for them, then we're going to get them to buy some things for their dogs. And I think there's a lot of room. Like I know a lot more people that would wear this, right, with their dog's name on it, then would necessarily buy something for their dog specifically. But if we can get them in here, we can get them in by showing them, hey, this is for you, and then start showing how cute our stuff looks on their dogs. Then even if they were a little resistant to that, they're not necessarily a put a tutu on my dog type of a person, right? Or put my dog in a Halloween costume type of a person. We start to warm them up to that opportunity once they've become.
Yeah. Okay. So it looks like Chris might have froze on us. So we'll wait and see what happens there. But I think he really stumbled on a good point, Glency, and that is targeting the pet owner, not necessarily just the pet owner that wants to buy a pet necklace. Right. Yeah. And I think that's a big aha, because there's a whole nother side of it, right? Or someone that wants to buy a gift for someone that is, really into their German Shepherd. And they're like, oh, I know that they would love this necklace. And they know that the dog's name is Max, right? And then they're going to get that for the owner. But then once they see like, oh, I can get one that goes on the dog too. Oh, that's cool. Now, one thing I would say, hey, I wanted to cut in here real quick. If you're wondering what tool we're using to gather all of this information and to really make these important decisions on products, well, the tool is called Everbee. It's the only tool that we personally use for everything Etsy. They have everything from product research, keyword research, and they also offer email marketing now. That tool you can get access to absolutely free when you visit brandcreators.com/Everbee, and you'll get 10 free searches for the month. You can try it out before you invest in this tool. My recommendation is every single Etsy seller should be using this tool. So if you want to try it, go to brandcreators.com/Everbee, and you can go ahead and get access to it immediately. All right, let's get back to the audit. Again, we're just spitballing here, but like, do you offer, I don't know if you do, I don't know if I saw it on your site or not. Do you offer regular collars at all with jewelry on them?
I do, but I'm trying to stay away from that because the collars I don't make, so I get it from a different manufacturer, but I would rather just keep sticking to me hand making it, so I'm in control of, sometimes when I get stuff that is from a manufacturer, like there's missing charms and this and that, and it's hard for me to control that. So quality control is more on my side when I do it. I
guess I was thinking more of like if you had a leather.
Oh, I see.
And then you're just going to basically put your stuff on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that
I
way there, maybe someone doesn't want to put a jewelry type collar and they want
Mhm.
something that's actually a physical collar, but you don't have to build the whole collar. You just have to have, like, I'm thinking like a leather one I'm thinking of a German Shepherd, and my daughter has a German Shepherd. And I'm thinking
Right.
like you're putting that on with a leather collar, and then you have some type of, not a charm, but maybe something that is like a chrome, or not a chrome or gold, like clasp that goes
Uh-huh.
around it that has their name on it or something.
Oh, I didn't think about that, but that's a good idea. I don't have anything like that, but I see what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Again, just thinking like, how could you make a boring collar
Into a
more
blingy.
in
Yeah,
your product line, you
right.
know,
Yeah.
in your suite of products.
Mhm.
So, okay, I know we threw a whole bunch out there. Is there any questions at this point? Any concerns? Any things you think that might not work or that you have any questions on?
Um, I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself, but I would definitely like to have you guys look at my titles. That's
Sure.
one thing that I kind of struggle with. Kind of like what you said, like dog collar necklace. I don't, I use that quite a lot. So I
Mhm.
just want to make sure that my titles um, are within what I'm doing,
Sure.
basically.
Okay, cool. So, Chris, let's look at some of the titles. Okay, so we have ivory pearl necklace collar for dogs, cats, personalized pearl, and then it's dog necklace, beaded cat collar necklace, fancy jewelry for pets, pet accessories. Um, so I don't know that I would lead with ivory pearl. Did you do any research to see is like that is that part of the keyword that people are searching for because it's ivory? I don't know, pearl.
So my competitor,
Mhm.
which was going to be my next question, but my
Okay.
competitor, she's basically the bestseller, and she's been the title of bestseller on Etsy for quite a few years.
Okay.
And when I compare her to me, of course, I have. Um, it seems to me that she's been doing it for quite a while, and maybe she does this full time. And I see the pros and cons with her and me. Maybe I have better photos than hers. Hers are a little bit darker, but but I just see like her titles, so I try to take hers and
Mhm.
just change mine up a bit so I'm not exactly like hers. So that's
Mhm.
kind of where I got mine from, just because she's a bestseller. But then maybe she's a bestseller because she's been gaining that flywheel that you guys have been
Yes.
talking about, and not necessarily her photos. So, but that's another thing that if you guys could take a look at also, why is she bestseller, and what can I do to also be in that range also?
Yeah, we can pull up her listing that you're saying is the bestseller, and you're saying it's the best. Like, how many do you believe she is selling per month?
From what I remember looking her up on um, Everbee, I believe she was making around 900 a month or so. But
Okay,
her numbers are pretty good.
so 900 a month on just that one product.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, Chris, maybe we'll pull that up. So okay, the
What's
competitor.
the product specifically?
Yeah, what's the product?
Um.
Was it the ivory one?
Yeah. And it kind of looks like mine too. But
So Chris,
hers
if
is
you just take that title maybe and just think maybe the first part of it.
so it's personalized pearl pet collar necklace.
Okay. Let's go ahead and see if we can get that to load. And Chris looks like he might be struggling over there with um, bandwidth or something. I don't know. He froze again. Okay, you're back.
Okay.
So which one is hers?
Right there, where you see where it says bestseller, and it's right
Right
below
down
that.
below Chris, right there in that darker one. Guys, let me know. Is it just me or is Chris freezing?
He's frozen.
Okay. We're going to wait until it catches up here. May need to have Chris get out and get back to reset his connection. Mhm. Chris did say he had a transformer that got hit this morning, so maybe there's a problem with the internet too. Let's see. All right. Let me see if I can't pull it up on my side. Oh, okay. So Chris decided to leave. He's going to come back. All right, cool. What we're going to do though, in the meantime, I've got, let me add this back in because I do have some of your stuff here. So we can kind of talk through this a little bit too. This is your numbers, right? We're still on you. Yeah, here we are. Okay, cool. So this here you submitted and it says this year, January through April was 4,151 visits, 83 orders, 2% conversion rate, 24.98.97. I mean, that conversion rate's decent, 2%. The visits, so that is that visits across your entire shop?
Yeah, for that year.
Okay. So yeah, so I mean that seems low to me because, and again, that goes down back to like, okay, how much demand do we have for these products? Shopper stats. So we're into items, favorites, 565 shop files. Now this is for what period? Was this for last year or this year?
It was matching whatever we were looking at, so I believe that was for
Okay.
this.
Okay. All right. So it's decent amount of favorites, abandoned baskets, cities reached and 55 reviews, shop follows, repeat buyers 12. Okay. 93 thank you offer emails were sent. Okay. So it looks like you are getting some repeat buyers. I mean, that's a good sign. Now we're January through December. This was last year. So 34,800 visits total, 450 orders, 1.3% conversion rates, and 12,773.66 was the revenue. So I think exactly what we identified earlier with products not having a lot of search demand and a lot of demand for being purchased. I think that is the issue, and that's how you are going to be able to fix it to where you're able to now generate the revenue that you want to generate. But it is going to be fixing that problem. Like that number at 34,000 should be hundreds of thousands in order to get to the number that you want to get to. So I think with what we discussed, I think that is the right right move. And then this here is for that last year. So you had a bunch of favorites, which is great. Shop follows, 221 reviews, 63 repeat buyers, and then 600 abandoned carts. Those baskets added up to 13,698. 508 offers were emailed to nudge the shoppers. So those are all great numbers, but the thing is like we need to get that a lot higher in order to hit your revenue goal. So I think exactly what we talked about is going to help you get there. And that's really like looking at the products with demand. So Chris, can we pull that back up now? Can we pull up the competitor and we can go ahead and see what is actually potentially there for what she already is selling?
Yeah, I have that pulled up on my side. And then the other thing I wanted to point out here is, yes, we're over that 1% conversion rate, which is kind of the bare minimum of what we want to see. But realistically, I'd like to see this at 2 to 3%. So the thing that I would be looking at is, okay, when somebody comes to a listing, where are they coming from and what is the confusion? And it might be right now that they're coming in on that dog jewelry keyword, thinking it's going to be jewelry for them about their dog and leaving. But if we can get that to even just 2%, we almost double our revenue before we do anything else. So if we can really dive into the traffic, whether you're running ads or it's all coming from organic, and we have to look at the beta organic search report, which is my favorite report on Etsy because it's been in beta for like 2 years now. If we can look at where that traffic is coming from, then we can potentially start to inch this up. I don't think you have a pictures problem, right? Your images are great. Your listings look really nice. So it's going to probably be in that market message match place where they're clicking on it and they're not quite sure what it is from that little thumbnail image that they see on the app or on the website. And when they finally get there, they go, "Oh, this isn't right." So let's pull that up. But that was one other thing I wanted to share really fast. And then Scott, if people are looking for this report in their own Etsy shop, we had a couple of the Backstage Pass members asking about it. the easiest way to get to this is just to go to the stats tab inside of your Etsy backend, and it should show you that. You can then go in and pick the. So I believe this is the listing that we were talking about before, Glincy. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. Time out. Pause. I already noticed something right away. The title. Okay. Personalized pearl pet collar necklace. Leading with personalized. Yours is ivory, pearl, pet, whatever. Personalized. People are searching for that. Your personalized might not be seen if people are scrolling on mobile because it's truncated, it's shortened. You need those important keywords. And this here would be a clear indicator that they are probably getting more clicks than you because it says personalized, even if yours comes up in search. Okay. So that's the first thing I see. The other thing is, and Chris is looking through the tags right now, pet collar bling, some of these different things. But go back to the collar again. Now their conversion rate's 1.2 as well, right? So it's not crazy good. Okay. But it's decent. But it looks like estimated monthly sales is 50, estimated revenue is 850. All right. And 2,307 total sales in about 4 years. So I wouldn't technically say like you already have this product. So why not optimize it to try to get sales like this? But this still wouldn't be probably like, it's not like your number one like driver. Okay. 50 sales is good, right? It's like 2 sales a day, but you want to find some stuff that's getting 5, 10 sales a day. Okay. But I would say right off the bat, I wouldn't be changing the title around. I'd make it whatever is in here. Like I would there's nothing trademarked. You can use the same title. Now I might make it where they have, because a lot of stuff at the end doesn't really matter in my eyes, because what they're doing at the end is they're always trying to add other things in that people might be searching for, right? Like personalized pearl, pet collar necklace, elegant pet. Like elegant is just it's a word to describe something. It doesn't mean that people are searching for an elegant pet jewelry. So where yours is, I think yours said, what was it? Fancy or something? It was like fancy
jewelry for pets and pet accessories. Yeah.
Instead of using elegant, I'd put fancy, right? I'd make yours fancy, right? That's how I would put that in there. Your pictures are definitely better. So you've got that going for you. But they got a lot of reviews. So what this person has, and this is our point that we always try to make to people, is even though your listing is better and your product might be better, they're getting more sales. Sales wins over optimization every day of the week. Like, right. Yes, you want to optimize. She's optimizing personalized pearl pet collar necklace. If that was her whole title, she would still be where she is. It doesn't matter. Like so many people spend so much time in these, whether it's eRank or Marmalade or any of these, that's SEO tools. You're just trying to find these other little miscellaneous keywords that probably don't get a lot of traffic anyway. It's not going to be the secret sauce. The secret sauce is you need to get in front of more people to buy. Email list will help you do that.
Two things that kind of stand out for me here. One, your photos are way better. The biggest difference I see in the images is they have theirs on a dog.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that. Yeah,
that can be a huge difference, because even though they know on yours here, right? Okay, that's about the size of baby Fido or whatever. It's still a stuffed animal, and it could be one of the giant ridiculous ones that you win at the fair. They don't know what it actually looks like.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So if you still have some dogs that you can force to sit down for a photo shoot with you, or if you want to steal, and when I say steal, I mean borrow for the day, a neighbor's dog or somebody that you're friends with that could pose and model for you, you could knock out a bunch of your listings all in one day because you have everything there, right? And that can make a big difference. And I would say, and I'm curious about adding in some of the cat stuff, and I don't know if you want to get into that, but I'm curious what the difference would be with people who bling out their cat versus bling out their dog. And if we threw in like a side-by-side of a dog wearing it and a cat wearing it, because it really does work for both. If it's a larger cat or a smaller dog, you could put it on either one. As long as you're open to that, then that's potentially right. Then we're just getting into pet jewelry versus, dog dog fashion or whatever it is. The other thing that I noticed here, Scott, and I wanted to get your opinion on this. For her listing, the personalization is optional. What are your thoughts on it being forced like it is on the other one? So on this one, we see that they can't get it unpersonalized. They have to personalize it. What are your thoughts on, does that make a difference when somebody comes in to look at this? Because they go, oh, yeah, even if they came to this one on personalized, it kind of shows like this. And they really have to understand Etsy to be like, oh, yeah, let me go ahead and add that. Right. And then you even say, if you don't want to add a name, type none, versus just saying, type in your pet's name here and forcing them into the personalization. What are your thoughts on that, Scott? Should it be enforced so that it's shown, or does it really matter?
I don't know as far as if Etsy cares, honestly, I would model
from
exactly
a buyer perspective.
Yeah. If it was me, I would model exactly what the one that you want to sell like, you know what I mean? Like if hers is forced, I'd force it. If hers was optional, it'd be optional. I think that would be a tweak. But I think you bring up a great point on the dog. I think that's a must. Like that would be a homework assignment for you, for me, and from us, is like find some dogs or cats and get some pictures taken. If you want to use social media for this is where I would say do it. Even on your personal profile on Facebook or, Instagram, if you use it, like whatever, and say, hey, I need some photos of dogs wearing my necklaces or my dog necklaces. I'll send you one for free if you just take some pictures. You'll get people. So I think you need a real dog in that picture.
Right.
And so to my totally made up point a minute ago
there you go.
about I'm curious, I just went down to the photos in your reviews, right? And it's about 50-50 between dogs and cats. So I'm curious what that would look like. But even if we're just reaching out to some of the customers that have already left us a photo review to say, hey, do you mind if I use your image? Or something like that, then that could be a place to start, because you do have some of these, right? Obviously,
that's a definite. That one right there is a keeper. That one there, you got to put that one there. What was that?
Like this one's great.
That one's great. Yeah.
This one's even better because it shows that they can buy them in pairs, right?
Yeah.
And so a few things like this will go a long way to letting people know what this is about. Now, Scott, we're having this entire conversation about how to improve the listing, but that doesn't really address the main issue here, which really comes down to the traffic side of this. And that's really what I would be focusing on solving over the next 6 months, would be figuring out what people mean when they type in the terms that they're typing in to get to my listings. And we can get that, like I said, from the beta organic search report or from the ads report. Go back to Etsy, just like we did for the personalized pet collar necklace or the personalized necklace, right? And we're going to type in pet jewelry and see, do they mean for human beings or for pets, right? We're going to do that with all of the different search terms that are bringing in lots of traffic to the store. That alone may help us figure out why we are converting, how we're converting, and then figure out what we really need to go after in terms of keywords to start to ramp up that traffic. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know we just threw a whole bunch at you. Do you have any questions on anything? And then we can do a little recap as far as like what our 90-day roadmap is look like.
The only thing I wanted to just add really quick is, so I had a sale going on for the past 2 weeks, and I think I mentioned this earlier to you guys that my sales has increased a lot more, and my conversion rate as of the last 30 days went to 3.1%.
Great.
So really quick is maybe part of why people are abandoning their carts could possibly be my price point might be a little bit more expensive than everybody else's.
Have you always ran sales or no?
Not too many, but because my visits were decreasing and abandoned carts, I was like, okay, let me just run a sale. So I would probably run like 2 to 3 sales a year.
Okay.
So yes, but I know that you mentioned it to somebody else, that, nobody really cares about 10%, 5%, but so I was kind of being like a little tight with that. So this time I did 25% and that made a big difference. So I'm kind of wondering, maybe it's my price point also.
It very well could be.
Yeah.
So I'm taking a look at the two listings that we've been comparing just on the back end here. You're essentially the same price for the same size, right? They're
Right.
22 or they're $23 for the 12. I think it's 12 to 14 or 12 and a half to 14. You're 22.49. So that's not going to necessarily be the difference in the conversion, like the reason they're selling 50 and you're selling 5, right? The thing that is very useful about a sale, and I think this does a great job of demonstrating this, is people who have favorited that item get reminded about it. People who abandon the cart get reminded about it. People who were thinking about it and were on the fence, that's when we push people over the edge, because we can say, look, if you were thinking about this, you forgot about it, whatever it is, go save 25% this week. And they will go do that. It will massively increase your conversion rate in the short term. And it does a really good job of bringing back some of the abandoned carts, some of the people who favored it and were, kind of on the fence about it. That's when we push people over the edge. The common misconception is that price point is going to be the biggest conversion rate drag. It's not true. When we ran the Etsy buyer survey last year, they said that they think about it, but it was a very low score. The bigger things were the photos, understanding how it was going to look and feel, the description, understanding exactly what it is before they go to buy. And so if we can clean that up a little bit, we can show them a few examples of what this looks like in the real world, then we can solve that conversion rate difference. And then all we have to do is solve for traffic. That's what we really need to be doing. And coming in and running a sale is awesome. But I don't want the lesson to be, I need to bring my price down, because you really don't. You're very much on par with the competition there. They're just doing something that we somehow missed in the listing creation process. And it's our job now to figure out why, when they get traffic, that it's converting, and when we get traffic, it's not. And the conversion rates are pretty close. So the question is, how are they getting more traffic? And where is that traffic coming from? And if we can crack that, then we can expand into that segment of the market. And then we can start to figure out, okay, how do we go from 50 sales a month to 50 sales a day, which is closer to where you need to be. Does that make sense?
Definitely. Yeah.
So I'm going to agree, but somewhat disagree with my good friend here. I don't believe that price is always the driver, but I bet you if you look at your competitor, they probably were running sales, and those sales are probably converting. And when they're converting, they're having more sales. So Etsy is going to push you up in the algorithm. So is the price point, if someone sees the green price and then someone sees your price, are they going to buy yours or the others? They're probably going to buy the other, just because, number one, it looks like, oh, it's similar, it's the same. I'm going to buy the one that's not even necessarily less. It could be the same, but it's on sale, right? And so the other thing is Etsy is going to promote sales. You're going to show up in other parts of the platform when you have a sale going on. And they just announced that they have changed all of their default sales in your coupons to 25%, because they did studies that 25% converts better than 15%.
Right.
So my thought here is, I think you should run sales. I think you should do them weekly, not like let them run for a year. I think you should do them weekly, because then that also gives you the time deadline. So now it has a countdown. The countdown is a psychological trigger for people that when they see that, it's just like you. If you were like, oh, I can save $20 on my groceries if I use this coupon before it expires, but then you go in a day later and you're like, I just paid $20. I could have saved yesterday. Now you're kind of upset, right? But so you kind of get that, like, I better get to the market today. You're busy, but you're still going to make time to get there. It's the same thing. You're going to see that timer. And when people are visiting your shop, or they hearted, or they favored it, or they added to cart, that's going to be a driver to increase conversions as well. I think that other company, if we were able to go back and see all of the sales that they ran, they're probably running sales, and they're probably doing it on a regular basis. So I would make it a point, like, you start a sale on Monday, it ends on Sunday, you start a new one on Monday. Price it accordingly so you're competitive, and run those sales because your ads are going to convert better, everything.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think we actually disagree there, Scott. I think my point was more, it's about the urgent. The reason that a sale really works is about the urgency, not about the difference in the price point itself. Obviously, the higher, if we gave everything away for free, we'd convert really well, right?
Yeah.
You're never going to convert at 100%, but if we gave it away for free, we'd convert really, really well, right?
Yeah.
The biggest difference maker is just in that traffic level, because we're converting right around the same amount. And so our job needs to be to figure out, at least on that one product, where are they getting that additional traffic? What are they ranking for that we aren't? Are they running ads that we're not running? Like, what is the deal? Because if we look at what you think is the main keyword, we outrank them, right? And so they're obviously ranking somewhere else or getting traffic from somewhere else on that product. Where is it coming from? And if we look, they're all about personalized. And it may just be that they're ranking for personalized pet necklace or something like that we aren't. And if we can spend a little bit of time analyzing that listing, then we can figure out where the traffic is, and then pouring fuel on the fire by running that sale or by running the abandoned cart coupons, the favorite coupons, all of those different things that we can do. It's just going to start to incrementally increase that and start that flywheel going. Once we've cracked that, then we have to double, triple, quadruple down on the product research and expanding. If the goal is to get to $100,000 a year, we need to get to that 20, 25 sales a day range. We're not going to do it with that product. That product will get us 2 sales a day, Scott, to your point. So we need to find 5 or 10 of those. But since you already have that, let's start with optimizing that. Let's start with getting as much traffic as we can to that listing. And then once we've started to see that those sales are starting to increase, then we go back into product research mode and start figuring out what we can add in. Is it the Pandora charms that match between, mom and daughter or whatever it is? Then we can start to figure those things out. And I think, Scott, going back to her initial sticking point, she was talking about she doesn't know what to do on a daily basis. The best thing that I found is that almost all of this stuff works, for lack of a better term, in seasons. So we're going to be in listing optimization season right now. We need to figure out where that traffic is coming from. Once we've kind of cracked that code, then we go into product research season and we go find the next 5 or 10 things that we're going to create. Once we've found those, then we stop researching for a little bit. We create those products. We get them listed. We start driving traffic, and then we go back into listing optimization season to make sure that the new products that we've launched are getting the traffic and sales that they deserve.
Yeah. How does that sound?
Sounds like a plan. I mean, I appreciate you guys. I mean, that's really helpful.
And I'm sure you can go back and listen to this and, make some additional notes. But I mean, really, like Chris just kind of outlined, and we'll wrap it up on this, is kind of give you what we would be doing. Like, first off, we're going to be taking the listing that already has, the ability to get 50 sales a month, and we're going to optimize for that. But then from there, we're going to get into really finding those products. And I would say, to not overwhelm yourself, start with 3 products that you can find that will lend themselves to getting, maybe it's 50 sales a month, right? Or of your own. Okay. Maybe it's 100 sales a month, like whatever it is, you're going to be doing that research, and then you're going to make that decision. But I would also say another good use of your time would be building that email list. And you can do it internally. And we've done videos on this in the past, where you can see exactly like where you put like different landing pages using Everbee email. But I would definitely say take $5 a day for maybe 2 weeks, run a Facebook ad following our giveaway model that we teach, and then build that email list, and then start messaging those people, because that they're pet owners that like your jewelry because they raised their hand in the giveaway. So that's probably where I would spend my time, in those 3 areas. And I would do that for 90 days. I wouldn't touch social media other than the Facebook ads that we were running. And that's it. Any questions on that before we wrap?
No, I think I got everything.
All right. So the goal then is to complete this, but then also report back to us and let us know if you have, any updates for us, and who knows, maybe we can even have you back on to do a full update.
That would be awesome. Thank you guys.
All right. Well, thank you. And just keep us posted. Thanks so much for doing this.
All right. Thanks, guys.
So that's a wrap for this Etsy shop audit. But if you want to watch more, well, you can find some more right
here. And if you do, well, I'll see you there.